What can you do to finally put in place a proper legal document or lease or management to give Friends of Ambler Farm the legal footing they need to operate effectively?
This will be a short answer. Complete the operating agreement. We need to get that operating agreement done. If it calls for a session of the Board of Selectmen, a special session of the Board of Selectmen, a special meeting, and the difference between a special meeting and a regular meeting is it's not part of the regular scheduled meetings. You can just come and give notice. We've done that not infrequently. And get everyone in the room and invite the public to come as well. And let's hash out the final terms of that agreement so we can have a document in place that brings certainty to the operation and direction of Ambler Farm going forward.
Mr. Warren?
Yeah, Ambler Farm is it's a town treasure, right? Everybody loves Ambler Farm. It's great. So to be very clear, I fully support it. I fully support funding Ambler Farm to the extent we're required to, and potentially more if that's what people want to do. It's a great asset. I love it. That said, we can't lose sight of fiscal responsibility and ensuring that we are remaining fiscally responsive. And I wasn't involved in the lease negotiations or drafting of the original lease. Part of the issue is ensuring that the town is only obligated to what they're required to be obligated for. That doesn't mean that the town can't approve more, but when I think about obligating the town, and initially I think the initial lease was like for 10 years and 8 10-year leases or something, so 80 or 90 years. We need to make sure that we're only obligating ourselves to what we're required to. For example, the yellow house, it's a great point. The yellow house is not required to be maintained by the town according to the deed. There's the main house and the carriage barn, and I think the cow barn it's referred to. Doesn't mean I don't support revising the yellow house, but when we talk about a lease and what we're required to do, we need to be very specific and fiscally responsible, understanding what we're required to do and what we want to do. And if we want to do more, I think, because it could be significant dollars, it should be voted on. My guess is it'll pass, but I think that's the process that it should go through. I agree with Rich, just get it done. It just needs to get done, for sure. All these things can be worked out. I think the town allocates roughly $75,000 in their annual budget to support it. Let's look at what's in the lease. Is that what's more than what's required by the lease? If not, let's figure that out and let's resolve it, because I think everybody supports Ambler Farm and wants it to continue to be the great asset it is. We just need to get it done.
Mr. Packer?
So I was at the town meeting last year, and also, like Rich, was very moved by the impassioned pleas that the town support the work of Ambler Farm. And I agree with both candidates on stage here that we absolutely need to find a way to get this done. In my view, if we view this as an asset to the town that I think the residents do, we need to be ready as a town to stand behind it, stand behind renovations, stand behind ongoing maintenance. And we also need to recognize that we have a strong operating partner right now with the Friends of Ambler Farm, and to view the agreement as more of a management agreement. Obviously, we will lay out terms within the agreement. It's not a total free rein, but I would be concerned about looking to squeeze out every penny from the Friends. I view the farm as an asset that brings people to Wilton. And that's something that I think as Wilton we need more of. We need more attractions that say, why should I be going to Wilton? Why should I bring my family to Wilton? And having a well-maintained and operating farm with all the facilities renovated and modern makes it that. And that there are benefits that the town gets that go above and beyond near-term maintenance costs. So yes, we should think through, make sure we have the engineering studies to know what the potential risks are long-term, what could we potentially be on the hook for longer term, but I do think we should bond if need be to bring things up to code and just build an agreement with the Friends of Ambler Farm that I think is appropriate for them as a nonprofit, knowing that it will serve us very well in the long term.
something that was stated in some of the comments just now was how much it would cost to do something. I think what we can't lose sight of, and what hasn't been mentioned yet tonight, is the 150, or is it 140, or is it 130 million dollars worth of infrastructure repairs that are hanging over our budget process and our progress going forward. I think we have to find a way to solve that 150, 140, 130. The last number I saw published was 150 in Good Morning Wilton, about how to solve that problem. We need to figure that out because it will overhang all of our decisions on budgets in the next 5 or 10 years. I was pleased yesterday to see the great work at Middlebrook School about the lockers, floors, and ceiling tiles, where through the efforts of our local DPW folks and the direction of carpenters, we saved so much money that they can now move down the hallway. I think we need to figure out that 150 million before we can progress with many new items so that we can be assured that we can afford the items as we go forward. I've had conversations with people who have been part of finance in town in the last 6 months, those conversations in the last 6 months. And, I asked them flat out, over the last 8 years or so, have we been too fiscally conservative in town? They don't really want to answer the question yes, but they said yes.
Go ahead. This term fiscal responsibility gets brought up over and over. Very often fiscal responsibility means going with the lowest cost option, but not always. Sometimes what's fiscally responsible is to invest. Perhaps that's maybe not the nearest term politically expedient thing to do, but the long-term prudent thing to do is to invest so that we don't end up with these capital costs that shocked us 2 years ago. So I just want to clarify that. That's something from my view, as I think of fiscal responsibility, I think we should consider it and make sure to view as important as it is.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point, and I would agree with that. One thing I would point out in terms of this future debt is, it's very important. I agree with it, and we need to address it, but we also need to keep it in perspective. I think right now the town has roughly 64 million in debt, 10 million that's been authorized, I think, but not bonded, and that debt gets paid down. So if you look at the presentation, I believe it was last night that was done to the Board of Finance, it shows the debt payout. It shows that about somewhere between 100 to 130 million plus can be supported over the next 18 to 20 years with the payoff of the past debt. So obviously as our debt service goes down, we get new debt. It doesn't really change what our budget is, what our payment, our principal, and our interest. So it's a big number, but it's very doable in the due course as we've been planning. But it's important that we focus on those facilities and what those costs are, because I agree, fiscally conservative doesn't mean not spending the money, it means spending the money right. So if it's for the maintenance, we have Gilbert and Bennett building, the maintenance wasn't done, a lot of issues there that hopefully or potentially could have been prevented by maintenance and spending the money. So yeah, I totally agree, being fiscally conservative doesn't mean not spending the money, it just means spending it smart.